Welcome to Meet the Industry podcast.
We just came to chill and have fun.
Welcome to the second episode of Meet the Industry. Now, we're supposed to have guests on the show every once in a while. I mean, who doesn't want to listen to A.R. Rahman talk about his journey to the Oscars or ask Asha Bhosle how she made it from Sangli to Bollywood? The legends in this industry have too much wisdom lying around, but they can't start podcasts at this age, so the obligation obviously falls upon people like me. So, on that account, I decided to invite someone to the show for this episode. I don't know him that well, but he's one of those nice and helpful people in the industry, so he gladly accepted my invitation. So, this guy is a music producer from Bengaluru, and when it comes to dance music, he's kind of a legend in the making. He's been playing all over the country for like 5 years now, even some festivals in Europe, and next year he's playing at a festival in Canada as well. So he's already kind of a big deal here. If you attend a lot of underground parties, then you must have heard the name Oceantied. And if you haven't, then please go to SoundCloud and check him out. He's a killer producer, has played the first Boiler Room party that happened in India, in Bombay, and even got selected to attend the legendary Red Bull Music Academy workshop. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Ketan Bahirat, aka Oceantide, and he's one hell of an electronic music producer. By the way, I might not be entirely serious about A.R. Rahman or Asha Bhosle, but I'm kind of hopeful because why not? So Ketan and I started speaking about how he got into producing music from being a guitarist in this band called Until We Last. I just want to say that at the beginning of every artist's career, there's some sort of a vision. And this episode is all about the vision because it's important to have one and keep track of it too. We're not talking about eyesight here. We're talking about the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination. Sounds heavy, but it could be as simple as making an album or conceiving an idea for a countrywide tour. This vision is what drives the artist, and I can talk about all that introspective crap, but in a nutshell, I just want to say that it is of supreme importance to have vision, but the challenge is to keep it awfully realistic so that you can act upon it. So keep this in mind, and now let's get into this conversation I had with Ketan. Hi Ketan, welcome to Meet the Industry. It's great to have you.
Hey man, great to be on board and talk to you about whatever we're going to talk about for the next, I don't know how long, but
Yeah. So let's just start by talking about who you are, what you do, and
Yeah.
what you've been up to currently.
Okay. I make music under Oceantide as of now. That's kind of like my electronic music alias.
Right.
For the last 5 years, I would say.
Okay.
And I've been releasing music in spurts over the last 5 years, and I've been DJing a lot over the last 2 years, I would say, 2 to 3 years. That's who I am, and that's what I'm up to as of now, at least.
And so before you got into DJing full time, like you were a part of this band called Until We Last.
Yeah.
Was that something that you were doing for the first 3 years when you got into making music?
Until We Last was kind of like a bedroom project initially, like kind of like me producing as Oceantide right now.
Okay.
So I used to write music, write post-rock music pretty much, and ambient music as well, and just record kind of like my guitar and make all these sketches and
Okay.
just write music as Until We Last at that point. I think that was like 2011, and I wanted to kind of make a band around it and
Okay.
find people that I could write music with. So Yeah, Until We Last was like a full-fledged band for 4 to 5 years, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
And yeah.
played a bunch of shows locally.
Yeah, we used to play like a lot of college gigs at that
Right.
point, and then like later we started getting into the festival scene as well. Like we played the Weekender a couple of times in Pune, in Bangalore. We played Magnetic Fields first year as well, actually.
Oh, nice. I didn't know
Uh,
that it had like bands in the beginning, like rock bands and all.
Yeah, I mean, like I actually grew up in that space. Like I used to play for a few metal bands in Bangalore. I mean, I used to play the guitar for them, and yeah, I think I just grew into that a lot because, especially at the time, Bangalore used to have a lot of metal and rock
Yeah,
bands.
yeah, I remember. Bangalore used to have an amazing rock and metal community back in the day.
Yeah, it was huge, dude. Honestly, I miss that community vibe right now, like because back in the day, a lot of the bands would meet pretty much like every weekend and play stuff like Sunday Jam and Freedom Jam, at least once a month, if not every other weekend.
Hmm,
So yeah, it was like a huge community, and yeah, it was great, dude. Like I kind of miss that. So yeah, I used to be in that, and then Until We Last happened, and yeah, that's pretty
nice.
much like the roots.
Cool. So, what I want to know now is that your journey from Until We Last to Oceantide must have taken some time to evolve, and you must have had some kind of a vision at that point, even though you weren't probably heavily into electronic music production or even DJing for that matter. Because I know that
Yeah.
a lot of us, at least me, I started off as being a DJ first, and then I got into production and
Okay.
defining what I want to do as an artist. So, for you being in a part of a band for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
then deciding to take up a solo project like Oceantide,
Hmm.
and being a full-fledged producer on your own means like composing, writing everything on your own, and making it the finished product by yourself. What was the process like, and what did you have in mind when you had this thought?
Um, Honestly, like when I was doing Until We Last, it was kind of just me recording at home, right? Initially, like that's how I actually got into production, because I always wanted to record the music that I was making, and even at that time, it was kind of like the starting of my production journey. So yeah, I mean, while I was doing that, I was also making a lot of the electronic parts for Until We Lost. So we would have like just ambient pads or like, some breakdowns where there would be like glitchy electronic stuff happening in the background. And we used to play that live as well. And that was kind of influenced by a few other Bangalore bands like the Bicycle Days and Lounge Piranha and stuff. They used to do stuff like that where they would literally have like a person playing parts out of a laptop. So I also wanted to get into that. So I mean that production journey and electronic music has always been there, but it was more like dormant. And Oceantide honestly happened because of like consequences of the band not really performing as much anymore. And at that point, like when the band was not really active towards the end of the journey for Until We Last, I was like, I need to still do my own thing. I
Right.
need to still be able to release my own music because at that time, I didn't want to be like a full time musician or anything, but I definitely wanted to give it a shot and put out as much music as I could. So
Right.
Oceantide kind of began at that time, and the project initially, like my vision was to just release as much like electronic music as I could, because by then I'd already been making a lot of music on Ableton or Fruity Loops or whatever, and yeah, I just wanted to be
Alright,
able to
so
put it
when
out.
you thought that you were ready to be Oceantide,
Yeah.
your vision was to release music. And at that time, I'm assuming you weren't playing any DJ gigs, right?
No, I wasn't actually. I picked up DJing like I'd say 1.5 years into Oceantide existing.
Okay.
Like I mean, I knew how to DJ. It wasn't like I was completely new to it. Like I had the idea of playlisting and like kind of setting moods and stuff like that. But yeah, like seriously practicing it and developing it was 1.5 years into Oceantide for sure.
Okay. So, when you started making music, uh, did you like go to someone for learning, or were you just finding tutorials online and teaching yourself?
When I initially started learning anything related to music, I actually studied Hindustani classical music,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was like in the sixth grade. So, like, I was quite not young, but whatever. I was growing up,
Right.
and I initially started learning how to sing. Like, that was my first thing,
Mhm.
and like I did that for 1.5 years, and then I was gifted a guitar by my dad,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's when I kind of stopped singing and like doing a lot of the Hindustani stuff, honestly.
Right.
And yeah, but that was
Like,
still
how
my
did you
base.
get around operating on a digital audio workstation? Uh, in the beginning, I think it could be very daunting to just open this piece of software, which has like so much capability, and
Yeah,
it's kind of possible to get lost while trying to figure out what you want to do. Because at that point, you want to make music, so you have ideas in your head, but
yeah.
uh, you're just like trying to figure out how everything's done. So was it like
I
a sorry?
Yeah, it was YouTube mainly. Like,
Right.
it was mainly YouTube that like helped me kind of learn how everything works, and also a couple of friends around me at the time when I was
Right.
playing in a few other bands, right? So, like we would sit on Cubase and try to program drums on Drum Kit from Hell, and like make a track, basically just record the guitar and record the drums, and then like I slowly kind of got the hang of how to record music.
Yeah, so I
And
think your exposure into music and your circle with the musicians was quite instrumental in you
oh, for sure,
pick up these things over
for
time.
sure, dude. Yeah,
So
like
constantly doing these things, one thing or the other, making music or recording or just putting down ideas on the door.
yeah, because it was like basically down to all my friends also being into this kind of stuff at the same time.
Right.
And we were just like on that journey together to record our music and learn it. So it was all organic. I never went to a school or anything.
Right.
And like I feel like that kind of helped in creating my own sound in a way,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I didn't learn like the usual techniques that someone
Right.
might learn, and then, but I'm learning that stuff now, like, because
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten to a point where I want to get way more technical at things, and like, because my skills have developed in production, but I want to get better at it, and like, know some of the industry standards, for example.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like now I'm on that journey to like kind of technically get better and,
Right.
like really develop the skill.
So at what point did you come across RBMA, and how did that help you as a musician, help you grow as a musician?
RBMA was like probably one of the most single defining moments, I would say, in the last few years.
Hmm.
I'd always been kind of consuming their content through Red Bull Music Academy daily and their lectures that would get uploaded on YouTube. So it was kind of like a pipe dream to be selected to go to the academy.
Right.
And a few times I'd written down the huge form and I never sent it in. And the year that I did send it in, I actually just got in, and it was mind blowing, honestly. So like getting
Were you
there
already
was,
like Oceantied when you got in?
yeah, I was, yeah. I think that was 2016, the year that I went. So
Okay.
I was already like a couple of years into Oceantide, I would say.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, so I mean, RBMA is amazing, dude. Like, it's hard to explain because there's
The
producers
exposure
and
must be that like the environment you get to be in,
yeah.
and it was like kind of an upgrade to the environment you were in Bangalore with all the musician friends around you. And
I don't know if it's an upgrade. It's just, like it's a different experience because you're in a space where there's people from all around the world who've probably been through like similar things as you, but in a different way. and some of the places that these people are from might have like super developed scenes, or they might not have a scene at all, you know. So it's kind of like the amalgamation of all those people in one place. And obviously,
Right.
like, your mentors are like people in the industry and who've been there for like a long time. And some of the lectures were huge, like, you know, people like the Black Madonna were there. And
Right.
I mean, like, the list can go on. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, everyone in the industry is kind of there in a way. So yeah, it's mind blowing, honestly.
Nice. So you had what, a year? I mean, sorry. How long were you in the academy?
Oh,
For
so, I mean, RBMA basically just happens for 2 weeks.
okay.
So, like, the whole academy itself is pretty much just like like two batches,
Okay.
and each batch lasts 2 weeks or so. So,
Okay.
yeah, I was there just for 2 weeks, but those 2 weeks were very instrumental because, you know, I got to meet a lot of people and I got to learn a lot of new things, and just the exposure was huge. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So when you came back, uh, was there a better vision that you had in mind of what you wanted to do or how you wanted to proceed with your uh, your process of being Oceantied and releasing music, like you said?
Yeah, I think when I came back, the biggest change was that I wanted to give music like a real shot, you know.
Hmm.
I kind of believed in myself more after I went there, that, you know, maybe I can be successful in putting out music. And uh, yeah,
What
just
helped you give that confidence uh, from your experience? Like, what did you feel so strongly that you felt like, okay, now you can really pursue this full time?
I think it was just the fact that I got more confident. Firstly, getting selected for the academy
Right.
is a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
And also just being around people who were already successful, and them kind of spurring you on and like giving you motivation to come back to your hometown and
Right.
like just going for it, you know, like that kind of attitude set in when I went there. And yeah, like, for example, like, I got to sit next to Mike Banks from Underground Resistance at breakfast once. And I mean, like, honestly, you would have never imagined something like that in your whole life, right? Like, sitting next to Mike Banks.
Yeah.
But like, he told me that he heard some of the stuff that I was doing, and like, he thought that my beats had soul. And like, when someone like that tells you something like
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
so meaningful, you know, you're gonna want to be able to do more and go for it. And
Sure.
yeah, so like, a lot of experiences like that, you know, that really pushed me.
Yeah. And so, like, once you were back, you were more driven to do things, release more music, and I'm sure by then you were already playing a few gigs uh,
Yeah.
with Crunk.
So yeah, Krunk started managing me in the same year that I got selected for the academy, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like, a few months before that. So yeah, I mean, like, Krunk has always been there to help me get that exposure and like kind of get me gigs to, you know, showcase myself.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I had been playing gigs before Krunk as well.
Hmm.
But those gigs were primarily live sets that I used to do as Oceantide.
Right.
And it wasn't very constant gigging, you know. I wasn't playing as many gigs.
Yeah.
So obviously, getting signed to an agency, like a booking agency, helps with that. So yeah.
I mean, speaking about signing the agency, I think that's one of the first steps in towards advancing your career as a musician and a turning point for any upcoming artist, right? So, were you actively looking to join an agency or slash a manager to help you create these opportunities for you?
Not really, man, honestly. With Oceantide at the time, I was just doing my thing, you know.
Hmm.
And I was lucky enough to get interest from a couple of agencies in India. And in the end, I kind of felt that Krunk matched my vision.
Okay.
And that's kind of when I signed up for that contract. So,
Right.
like,
So
honestly,
here you had like a clear vision in your mind, and
yeah.
then it was Krunk who you spoke to and felt connected to.
Yeah, I mean, they got in touch with me and they were also interested. And they'd book me for a couple of gigs before that, so they also knew what I could bring to the table. And yeah, it becomes a partnership. You should never think that you're
Yeah.
signing to an agency and then they kind of like do everything for you. At the end of the day, you still have to work hard, and gigs never come for no reason. Like, someone's gonna book you because you're bringing something to that gig. So yeah, I think it's important for artists to have their own vision and to work with people who get that vision as well.
Right.
So I think that's what it is with Krunk and me. Like, we both understand, like, what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just going for it. So
Nice. So let's talk about the music now.
Yeah.
You have been, I mean, we've understood your journey right from the beginning up until this point where you have become more confident as an artist. Your vision is more clear. You have someone who's looking out for you in terms of bookings and believes in you. Now, the main thing is the music, right? Because if the music is not there, then none of anything else matters.
Yeah, for sure.
We've just had a new EP come out from your end called On the Floor Volume 1. And this sound has not been heard from you before.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, if you've been to my DJ sets, you've heard me play like stuff like I've released. For me, DJing and like the stuff that I DJ influences the music that I make a lot as well. Because I'm making music in relation to my DJ sets. So, like, for a long time, I've been shifting to sets where I'm usually playing a lot more like breaks, a lot more stuff influenced by techno, all Chicago house, and all of that music has always influenced the way I make music. So I feel like every release is it's influenced by what I'm doing. So like at these DJ sets, I'll make music of my own to kind of fit in and play a lot of my unreleased music. So that's where I kind of test out whether my tracks are working or not, and whether I'm enjoying playing out those tracks. So like, my DJ sets are a good way to a good way for me to test out what's going to come out. So that's kind of the idea behind On the Floor. It's like me playing music in my DJ sets and figuring out whether that's making people dance, making people enjoy themselves. And yeah, it's just kind of like a collection of those kind of tunes that I've been doing over the last year.
So from what I've read online about On the Floor, you made this music by using some samples that were recorded in Bangalore, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, especially in Luru. Like, that one track has a lot of like.
So it's just the one track that's got the Luru sounds.
I mean, like, I use sounds like locally sourced sounds in all my music. It's not like specific to a release. There'll be some tracks which don't have any locally sourced sounds, and it's all just like.
I was only asking because I thought that maybe this was a theme for your EP.
No, it's just like I think that's more of like a description to the EP. Like, it has locally sourced sounds, and I think it's an important enough like description to be there, because at the end of the day, like, you want to represent your city in some way or the other. And it's just like using sounds that are around you kind of help in, I don't know, like, portraying yourself better. So, like, for example, there's a lot of like vocal chops of people talking on the metro, or like industrial sounds at a darshini when you're eating dosa. Like, just using those kinds of sounds like in your music. It's just it became more fun for me. So that's kind of what I meant.
And it adds a bit of that abstract element to it.
And also, just like, it's better sonically because you're using like your own sounds, and it's not always just about the sample packs. Like, honestly, I'm a sucker for sample packs, and I'm always collecting sounds. So to kind of get that like organic element of yourself into it, it kind of helps also.
And I think it's a good exercise to have your own samples, because I think if you select a certain sample, be it from someone else's sample pack or your own sample, it means that you kind of resonate with that sample. And if you have created it, you I think feel a stronger connection to it, and somewhere down the road you are going to use it because you
You made
had
it.
at least something in mind when you selected that sample, that okay, this is one sample that I'm going to save and keep.
Yeah, for
And then
sure.
the samples which you've not used, like you've discarded those ideas. So I think it gets a bit more personal when you use these samples, and maybe it also adds a bit more meaning to it.
Yeah, I think so too, man. Like, I mean, like my production process is always used like primarily sampling, and like I like making my music using samples a lot. So to kind of add my own flavor to it, like it's always nice when I'm recording something, and yeah, like making my own samples as well. So it's an important aspect of my process, like to use locally sourced sounds and uh, yeah, just recording stuff.
Sweet. And what about this is obviously a series of EPs on the floor,
Yeah.
and you have 2 and 3 already lined up in a way.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a rough idea of what's going to go on those two EPs. The whole EP series is about like the club, and it's influenced by the music that I'm playing in the club. So I want to be releasing music that other DJs can use as well. So that's
Right.
that's kind of the whole idea.
Cool. So I think finally, what I would now like to know
Hmm.
after uh, having deducted that you are already doing everything that was part of your vision as an artist, which was making music, releasing music. I think uh, you've been releasing good music consistently,
Yeah, thank you,
and
man.
also haven't uh, like stuck to one style,
Yeah,
and always try to push the envelope in your own right, like
yeah,
not for someone else, but for you and for your evolution as an artist.
exactly.
So that's great, I think. And this brings me to this one final question that I want to ask you
Yeah.
as an artist. How do you define success?
Uh, Defining success is extremely difficult, I think, because like every few months, your goals might be changing.
Right.
So, like for me, being successful is like mainly doing what you really want to do. Like you shouldn't
Mhm.
be sucked into like all the things that we have around us and be kind of lost, which I do feel sometimes. So like getting like real success would be to kind of just keep doing what I like doing,
Mhm.
and yeah, just releasing music and putting out things into the world that I'm proud of. I think that would be
Right.
success in today's day and age for me.
Right. I think for you, what this success means to you is freedom, and artistic freedom, to be ability to express yourself musically the way you want, and
Yeah,
that would basically be success for you. And at some point, if you were not able to do that, that would be your challenge. I think at some point you would eventually find a way to do what you want to do, and that again would be your success, if I'm not wrong.
exactly, man. It's like it's all ups and downs, and the industry in India, especially, is always
Yeah.
changing.
Right.
So like I want to carve a space for myself. I don't want to kind of go with what's trending and what's in or out. Like I just want to
Right.
be able to express myself, and hopefully people understand, my end of the story. So that's kind of
Right.
like the whole idea. Just being successful in terms of numbers or metrics isn't very meaningful to me. And yeah, I just want to be able to sustain like making music for as long as I can, because yeah, I think that's the most important thing in my life. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear this outlook from you, because I think it's a unique outlook that you have created for yourself, and uh, it's great to have something that you believe in.
Thank you, man.
So yeah, I think we are pretty much done for today. I haven't really chatted for this long with you before.
Yeah, it's pretty much the first time.
Yeah, so I think it was great. It was fun.
Awesome, awesome.
So that was Ketan and I in conversation about his journey so far and what he's achieved in the last 5 years as an independent musician. I got him to chronicle some important events of his career, and this surely sheds some light upon how an artist goes about making a mark for himself. There was no solid vision in the beginning for Ketan when he was jamming with his band Until We Last. It was purely out of enthusiasm to make music that he began experimenting. But doing that consistently led him to a very crucial event, which was attending the Red Bull Music Academy workshop, which ultimately bolstered his confidence to finally construct a vision, which was making music that he released eventually. Now he's regularly playing club gigs across the country and simultaneously releasing music to support his performances. This is certainly an example of a successful independent artist. But like he said, it's not easy to define success since things are changing rapidly, and he's absolutely spot on about that. His definition of success leans on not the money he makes, but on whether or not he's able to push his own boundaries. I find this to be a common trait in all successful artists and even entrepreneurs. They just want to be better version of themselves in what they are doing, be it business or art or a bit of both. Ketan's vision has changed over time, not radically, but with fine tunings. He used to play in a band. Now he's a dance music DJ and producer. As a producer, he's putting out all kinds of music: bass, hip hop, techno. All this can't be done overnight, and it needs some kind of planning and a strong reasoning. On this episode, I wanted to discuss the importance of vision, and Ketan, I think, was a great case study. If you're a fan of dance music, then I'd urge you to check him out. Just follow his social media and see when he's playing in your city and go watch him play. If you're a DJ yourself and if you like his music, go support it by purchasing it on Bandcamp. He's just released a fresh new EP and more of that is coming soon. So keep an eye out on that. All the links of his social media channels are mentioned in the podcast description below. From here on, I just want to take this discussion a bit further on my own. I want to pick this conversation up from where I left in the last episode and show you where I'm planning to go from there. I spoke about creating a framework to navigate the music industry, and today you might be wondering why I decided to speak about artistic vision. Why particularly vision? Why is that our first step, and where do we go from there? And the answer is, there are two things imperative to an artist's success: vision and mission. Without them, an artist would not be able to develop strategic goals and action plans. The vision is something you see for yourself after 5 to 10 years, whereas the mission is something that states what you do, who is it for, and how it is done. They say your most fertile source of creative energy is a compelling artistic vision. If we create music solely for ourselves, we are unlikely to produce a significant body of work. To become accomplished artists, we need reasons to create, and those reasons should extend beyond personal satisfaction. So, say if we envision uplifting others through music, along with, say, promoting a new musical style or advancing education in arts, our vision becomes the container through which our creativity takes form in the world. We'll then produce and market concerts, recordings, compositions, instructional materials, and a lot more. We'll eventually build a community of fans who resonate with what we stand for. We'll partner with agencies that share our goals. In tandem, that communal energy will add social meaning to what we do, fuel our motivation to create, and yield income producing opportunities. So if the vision is really that important, maybe you should write it down. This is like an action plan for someone who is just starting out, or even someone who has been around in the business for a while. It applies to artists as well as non-artists in this industry. And writing this down forms something called a vision statement. It becomes a piece that you can reference at times when you or your team need a reminder of why you're doing this, or even help you with crucial decisions and ensure that you're staying on your path. The process of writing things down is quite a powerful step in manifesting your reality, and the most powerful ideas are the ones that are actually actionable. Penning an idea can simply help push it forward faster. It becomes a point of reference, a place from which you can shift, pivot, adapt, and evolve. Now, where do we go after there's a vision in place? Well, we build a structure, then we generate ideas through brainstorming, leading to development of a strategy. Once we have a strategy in place, we focus on building a team around it. While managing this team, we take action to create opportunities for ourselves and generate revenue. This is basically the big picture, and vision was the first step into the big picture. What follows is this. One by one, we add a piece to a structure we are trying to build. The first people to consider are those you are making music with. If you're on your own, that's fine. That's how most of us start. But if you've started a group, you must think about including all or some of them in the structure, depending on their level of commitment. Next, if you're starting out and there is someone fully committed to running the business side for you, then include them in the structure too. The business side includes work like bookkeeping, bank account management, accounting and tax, and central file management. Further down the road, you need to handle legal agreements. You can handle this on your own in the beginning by writing a contract in plain English that everyone can understand, and make sure everyone involved signs it and has a copy. The first agreements you're likely to face are with band members, co-writers, and all the engaging collaborators, engineers, and producers. Now we can move on and talk about ideas in brainstorming. When one or more people focus their energy for a short amount of time in coming up with as many new ideas as possible, it's called brainstorming. Do this with your artistic collaborators and with co-partners like labels, agents, and publishers. Feel free to add in random people who care about your musical mission but don't have a specific role. We need a constant flow of new ideas, so having brainstorming sessions as often as possible is a good habit. The sooner you can take a concept from an idea into action, the better. But going all out with an idea that's not tested can take you a long way down the wrong road, wasting time and energy. So find a way to test ideas as quickly and cheaply as you can, and then put proper and sustained energy into ones that pass the test. This will lead us to strategy development. Our primary plan is to make music and grow our audience. This make music part is your artistic expression, and I leave that to you, but the grow your audience part is the key to survival. So for every step in your plan, ask yourself if it's helping you grow your audience. Strategies and plans don't need to be complicated. The more simple, the better. For those starting out, it could be play your first show outside of the comfort zone of your family and friends, or book your first tour outside of your hometown, or record and release your first song. For those further along, it could be make your next album and book your first tour in a new territory, or get one of your songs onto a big TV show, or do collaborations with great artists. So along with a strategy in mind, it's your job to find the right people to work with on a daily basis. I'm talking about team building through partnerships. Start with people you know and trust. The wrong people can mess with your flow and take you away from your vision. Skills can be learned, but passion and the right attitude need to come hard coded in each person you choose to add to the team. You can't go alone forever, and there's just too much to do for one person. So, choosing a team of great people will not only make the whole mission more productive and fun, but also provide solid support for each other when the times get tough. Once you start building a team, management of the team is the next step. Understanding roles and responsibilities is the root of music management. The leader of the band needs to know every job that there is and how to do it so that they can be sure that whomever they delegated a job to is doing it right. So once you've set your vision and intention and you have a strategy to achieve it, you or someone from your team has to be responsible for making sure opportunities are created. As many people as possible in your team need to be responsible for this, and it's a daily thing. Show up every day, try something new or something again in a better way. Most things we try will fail, so get used to it. It's a good sign. Just like when you make a mistake in your music and it takes you somewhere you never imagined, mistakes in management can do just the same thing. When you think that you've run out of opportunities to pursue, go back to brainstorming ideas and review your strategy. So with this, it seems we have covered the big picture. In the big picture, there is a vision followed by a structure leading us to ideas and strategies, which prompt us to build and manage a team who go hunting for opportunities every day. There's quite a bit of actionable content in here and a lot more is yet to come. Feel free to note some of these things down in a book or on your phones and computers. And with that, I'll call it a wrap for today. Firstly, I want to thank Ketan for taking the time to be here and opening up. I wish him all the best for the future, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming new EP, On the Flow Volume 2. Secondly, I hope you learned a few things here today. If you enjoyed this episode, then please let me know what you thought about it. If you have any questions or requests, then please don't hesitate to reach out. Until then, keep working hard, believing in yourself, and enjoy the process. I'll see you in the next episode on Meet the Industry soon. Have a lovely day ahead.